For today's webinar, Ms. Manya Singh, Director of Conservation Indica, whose extensive work in grassland restoration, human-wildlife conflict mitigation, and community-driven ecological action continues to shape conservation practices across India. Her experience across the landscape of Gujarat, Uttarakhand, and Himachal Pradesh, along with her leadership in initiatives such as Bunny Grassland Restoration, brings deep insight in today's discussion. Before we move forward, I would also like to take this opportunity to briefly introduce Gujarat Ecology Society, a research based NPO established in 1995. Over the years, GES has completed 100 plus ecological projects and published more than 150 research papers, contributing significantly to Gujarat environmental landscape. Our work spans ecological restoration, coastal marine conservation, dynamic ecosystem studies, terrestrial ecosystem research, and community sending program. We thank you all for joining us, and I now would like to invite our director, Dr. Joyendra Lakmapurkar, to officially invite Ms. Manya Singh and start the webinar. Dr. Joyendra Lakmapurkar, over to you.
You are already invited, but anyway, welcome, Manya Singh ji. Am I audible?
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you.
You are working on such an important subject, this pastoralism or livestock rearing. This is one of the oldest profession when the human beings starting, instead of hunting and poaching, is starting to learn how to go develop a symbiosis relation with other species, and that is a very good example of symbiotic relation. It is such a long history of this relationship. Yeah, you have worked on particularly Banni area. That is we know that Banni area is very well. We worked on the all Gujarat, Uttarakhand, as well as Himachal Pradesh. You are founder director of a organization called Conservation Indica. Your work has been very well noted even in the 12th International Rangeland Congress, which was there in Australia. So it's very good to learn that you are and you are involving policy, community action, and all with the science and bridging the gaps between all these aspects. So you are most welcome. I surely believe that this your webinar or your speech will be very informative and will have a good time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, and thank you, Sonia, for having me here. A warm welcome to everybody who has joined on a Friday evening. I know it's the end of the weekend. It might be a little too much to be hearing for a webinar, that too for an hour. But I'll like to make it more conversational, and I'll take you through the journey through more of a storytelling perspective. If I may start now, I can share my screen. So here, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, thank you. So let everybody introduce who am I and what is Conservation Indica. So I'll just briefly talk about this non-profit Section 8 company that my friend and I started in last year, January. And in the photograph, you can see I and Aditi. Aditi is a friend who I have the privilege of meeting in 2017 while working on another project in Gujarat. We were documenting the agroforestry practices across the agroeconomic zones or agricultural zones of Gujarat, and we were working with Center for Environment and Social Concerns under Dr. Arun Mani Dixit, who is also a widely known person in Gujarat. So there, it was not just a project; it was also start of our friendship. Although briefly we worked on that for 11 months, but we continued our friendship till now. And I went my own way, Aditi went hers. I was working in Uttarakhand. I worked on community-based conservation in the with the Himalayan communities. And in 2021, I went to join Sahjeevan, which is a Bhuj-based grassroots action group, and that gave me an opportunity to work in the Bunny Grasslands. Aditi, she followed her own trajectory and she worked in the northeast of India with Wildlife Conservation Society. She researched on the most sensitive topics of the region, like illegal wildlife trade. But throughout this journey, Aditi and I, we kept talking, we kept discussing, we kept interacting on what is research leading up to, what changes, what transformation it is making, what kind of impact we are having. Are we just going to conferences, building the body of knowledge, but with the community that we are mining the data from, it felt very extractive. It felt extractive in a sense that one research will lead to another with another, and somebody will find a niche area to research and will keep going to the community, but never a solution, never an impact in their day-to-day lives. So we kept discussing it and we kept brainstorming on it, how to do it differently. I know it's easier said than done, but just we just took a leap of faith into maybe work a little freely, create an institution with a more devolved, more democratic leadership, and that led to us founding Conservation Indica last year. And our vision is that we want community to access the power and how to give the power back to them into creating the difference on the ground. And that's precisely why the title of the presentation is Beyond Protected Areas, because outside the protected areas boundary in our country lives not only people but also wildlife, and there is a thriving ecosystem out there. You can see this is a commons. Whoever is from Gujarat knows what gauchar is. For those who are not, gauchars are the village grazing commons, and it's it is an area designated only for livestock of a village, and it is meant to be used only for that as a natural ecosystem. It is managed like a natural ecosystem. So this is an Indian coaster. We were documenting the birds of the grassland last year. Little did we know that recently this bird will jump into the IUCN red list category, and now this is a near threatened species. You are looking at your screen. So, and it is found in the most neglected, marginalized ecosystems like Gauchar, which is beyond any protected area category. So from this, I'll I'll start on my work in Surendranagar Commons of Gujarat. You can see the map here. We are located in the green shaded area, which is Surendranagar district. And since we were just starting last year, we are a very small organization. We are a team of 4 right now, and all our so we wear many hats um, throughout our institution building processes. And with little perseverance, we started in 2 villages. We started some deep engagement work in 2 villages of Chotila and Thangad block of Surendranagar. These are these are semi-arid savannas. These are pastoral commons. For those who are unaware of who pastoralists are, these are the herders. These are shepherds who keep livestock. It can be sheep, goat, camel, donkeys, horses, buffaloes, cows, everything. That, but the feature of a pastoralist is it is unlike animal husbandry. They move. There is a feature of mobility that is very critical to the existence of pastoralism. And and the herders in Gujarat where we work, we have pastoralists like Rabaris, Charan, Gadvi, and Bharwars. And they are semi-nomadic pastoral groups. So for 8 months throughout the year, they will move from pasture to pasture in search of forage and water. and uh, they for 4 months they come back and they live in their villages where it's mostly essentially after monsoons where they find green pastures around their villages. So these landscapes are multi-use landscapes. These are social and ecological systems both at the same time, uh, because these lands are shared by wildlife equally. So in the photograph, you can see an Indian leopard and a striped hyena. So I understand I have only put the two large carnivores here, but these are also important because they directly come in interaction with the pastoralist of the region who keeps livestock. The Indian leopard is a vulnerable species under the IUCN category, and striped hyena again is a near threatened category species under the IUCN. So these both species exist in the shared lands who are beyond any protection uh, uh, under any of the laws protecting the wildlife or forest in India right now. So, what are we doing here and how did we start doing? During our recce visits, during our preliminary assessment, we wanted to understand the grassland in a participatory way. So, with last year, we tried to create a baseline of at least the vegetation and the mammalian baseline to understand the to understand the grassland and what are we dealing with here. And during those where we started doing a vegetation baseline where we interacted with the pastoralists, we walked with the Maldharis. So pastoralists in Gujarat are called Maldharis. We started walking with the elders. We started walking with the Maldharis, knowing about the grasses. They kept emphasizing on their grazing routes. They kept telling about which plant does what, which was earlier in abundance, which one has diminished, what invasive species has taken over, and which is now degrading the pastures. So and because we also have a training in more ecological scientific monitoring methods, we tried to bridge both. So we started training the youth in the villages with quadrat sampling and camera trapping, how to deploy camera traps, how to get a quadrat data, and how to visualize the data for your own understanding. So through through this way, we from the beginning we did not go as researchers. We wanted to create a more collaborative way of building knowledge within the village, and that has given us a depth of understanding and uh, a more nuanced understanding on how people perceive their ecologies, rather how only scientifically these ecologies are perceived. Um, so I'll go a little bit technical here. Uh, so in both the villages, we have found a very good diversity, but more so we also uh, f- found trends of how uh, less palatable grasses or some herbs and grasses that are only grows on our degraded lands where productivity has lowered or the soil health has degraded are now increasingly becoming more dominant in these grasslands. And moreover, there is an invasive species. It is called Senna uniflora, which is an exotic invasive herb. It started dominating these grasslands, and after the first showers, these are the first to arrive, and they take over almost 30% cover of the 30% cover of the vegetation. And since we are moving into winters right now, even when we go to our grasslands right now, what we would see that we would see standing biomass of Senna uniflora untouched by livestock. No livestock eats it, and although it is a legume which is supposed to help the soil, but it has decreased the diversity and richness of native species uh, drastically. Devsar is a little different habitat altogether. It is more stony, more rocky, and it has a feature of a rocky savanna grasslands. Although the species richness was high, the biomass productivity of the whole land was a little lower than what we gathered in Rishamya. I'll just quickly pass through this because it is without the larger context of these studies, it makes less sense to be talking about these in detail. But one thing to note here is definitely about how invasive species are increasingly putting pressure on these pasture lands, where these are not the only issue with the pastoral rangelands. Uh, what is happening that the increasing pressure from the industries, our landscape is also prone to ceramic industry, which requires a lot of mining of soil and then dumping of ceramic waste. Coal mining is also very prominent in these landscapes. So these uh, commons, which are essentially on the revenue department under the revenue department, are prone to getting diverted for industrial purposes because the idea of productivity of land is directly denoted by the monetary productivity the land is giving, and grasslands are itself assumed that these are less productive lands because there are no trees, less trees, their grasses do nothing, and the whole idea of a tree tree based or tree forward forest forward narrative puts grasslands at a disadvantage. Uh, Another pressure that has taken over to these grassland is the idea of green energy, and that is largely uh, bec- how you see wind turbines, solar farms, taking over these pasture lands, taking over these grazing commons, where somebody within the village or a village head gives a nod to the company and it starts taking over, where people, the pastoralists, keep resisting these changes happen anyway. So these grasslands are under a variety of pressures. It's just not a biological invasion by the invaders, but also anthropogenic pressures from all around. This is one photo. It's so wherever you can see the understory of every tree, these flowers, yellow flowers, these are all Senna uniflora. And this is a photo from August, and this is how currently our Gaucher village commons look like, with no native grass to eat. This is a photo of an Indian gazelle, uh, Gazella beneti. It is very uh, distinct in our landscape, and it is the prey base to Indian leopards and Indian grey wolf in our landscape. And in one of the camera traps, when this gazelle came, it is it, it is shadowed by Senna uniflora, the invasive species, which is standing as tall as the gazelle itself. In the same camera trap, we saw leopard movements like this within the thickets, and it is also, so we are trying to make sense of these interactions where invasive species are disadvantaging the gazelles, but also leopards can now take advantage of these thickets. So for hiding, for attacks and things like that. So we are trying to make sense of this data. Uh, this is all from last year and this year's work. What we found in both the species that in both the villages are that there are more than 14 species of mammals in Reshamya and 6 species in Devsar. And Reshamya is only a village common of 20 hectares of land. It is not more than that. It is a very small uh, ecological system where also road construction and habitation, everything is surrounded. Uh, so the ecological system is surrounded by these developments, and within this habitat, we found desert cat, gazelle, leopards, hyenas, jackals, and then there are small carnivores also like mongooses and Indian fox. So there is a thriving wildlife population that coexist with pastoralist and within a very small patch of land. So the idea is the goal is to create more habitable environment for both pastoralist and wildlife and connect these uh, ecosystems for better corridor movement for these animals and also for pastoralists because mobility is also a very important feature of their lifestyle. Uh, some uh, some observation from the whole study is that earlier earlier leopard is something which is very new to this landscape. So, because of the high adaptability of leopards, they are master of adaptation, and uh, so there is little evidence from where they have arrived, but there is a lot of community insight that when the Hirasar Rajkot airport is made on the leopard habitat, and when that was constructed, there was a population dispersal of leopard, which some of it moved towards Rajkot and some of it moved towards Surendranagar. But Rajkot being a city, the leopards were captured and then were sent to Junagadh Gir area, but the ones dispersed towards Surendranagar because Surendranagar still has remnants of erstwhile contiguous grasslands. Uh, they left the leopard to thrive in these. The forest department left the leopard to thrive in these landscapes, and it is just not the community inside; it is also what the forest department told us. So, so what has happened here that this landscape, which used to have Indian grey wolves as the apex predator, now has leopard as the apex predator, and it has changed the dynamics of the community altogether. So now lep due to leopard, the wolves are now in the periphery of the villages, and they don't like to coexist with the leopards. And the human animal conflict, the human livestock, the leopard livestock conflict has accentuated a lot in the last 5 years because wolves would tend to attack the sheep or the small ruminants, but leopard has started to attack cows, buffaloes, uh, calves, calves of these large animals, as well as the goat and sheep. Last week, 3 of the goats from Reshamia were lifted by leopards, and now there is no evidence because leopards take away their prey. So there is no evidence left on the ground for the community to show it to the forest department that, hey, look, uh, our goats were attacked and we need to file for compensation. So this is another issue. So these issues started to come to us during our understanding phase of the landscape. And our idea was that we will not go to the landscape with a preconceived project in mind that we want to do this or we want to implement this. Let's do so. So the first idea was only, even the projects that we wrote was only to understand what's happening on the grassland, and this led to this led us to get more insight on what is happening, what is the magnitude of the conflict, uh, who is not getting compensated, who is suffering the most loss. Uh, and to do this, we did a survey in Reshami and Devsir both, and we tried to capture the data for the last 5 years to see trend in leopard attacks. And in the on the screen, you can see that there are goat attacks, calf attacks, uh, and the and the number has been increasing exponentially for each year since 2021. Uh, we also got some trend that when these incidents take place, so we found that June to December is the uh, most attack prone, vulnerable months for the pastoralist. But we also understood that because leopard cannot immediately take away the calves or cows, uh, the attacked animals still somewhere near. So when pastoralists file for compensation, uh, they get compensation for cows and buffaloes and calves. Although it is not nearly helpful because they get 16,000, 15,000, somewhere around that, but the cow or the buffalo is uh, the market rate is much higher, but they still get something. What's more important to see here is that the marginal pastoralists, the marginalized groups, because they are keeping small ruminants for a reason. The upward mobility says that the large pastoralist has either large herds or big animals. But here, the small ruminant pastoralists are facing the challenge of not proving. They cannot prove that the attack happened because leopards take away the goat. So we started thinking around those lines, what can be done. So we are looking at three uh, ideas that we wanted to test, and we have started testing one, which is the fox lights. These are aniders. These are light and sound systems that are deployed uh, where the pastoralist and the livestock sit in the night near the forest or grasslands. So we started deploying these fox slides, and we are getting some mixed results right now because it's very new, and we would like to scale the efforts to understand better deployment techniques and percentage of efficiency of these fox slides. The second thing that we started doing was doing community trainings for compensation claim filing. So it's also something that people have zero to less faith, and they feel that the work that they have to do to get compensation is way more than what they get. So let's suppose for a goat, they are going to get 3,000 rupees, but the number of paperwork, the number of trips they have to make to Chotila, main town, to forest department, it's not worth it. So we tried to talk with the forest department and the communities, and we're trying to see what could make these compensation claim filings more efficient or smoother. So this is another work in progress. So these are, since the inception of the organization, we have just been operating for 16, 17 months now. We have this whole baseline and issues identified, and now we are We are in the testing phase of our solutions and intervention. So this is one issue that came to us, and we are trying to look creatively at the problems and also find creative solutions toward this. And we want community on board, and how community can govern and manage these conflict issues is one agenda for us right now. The second agenda that came up while we were talking about leopards a lot, and we were talking about conflict a lot. The farming communities of the villages started to affirm that they need leopards. They need leopards in the landscape, because nilgai and wild boar, this this animal in the photographs, they don't they raid the crops, and farmers are incurring a lot of crop damage, crop raiding, and this is just helpful if they have leopards and hyenas in the landscapes. So we got another insight from another community which is facing another kind of conflict, but with herbivores. So although it was not within our scope of understanding, because it moved away from pastoralist and moved towards the farming communities, but that's that's how we understand that we cannot keep working in isolation in one system when one thing is affected by the other. So we started understanding this issue as well, and we have some data on what is the extent of damage, what kind of crops they're losing, what's the behavior, what's the pattern of movement and damage by the nilgai and the wild boars. So this is something that is a second line of work that we are hoping to create solutions towards. Uh, so for starters, when we had we still have limited funds, but when we had limited funds, but we collaborated with some organizations to give us camera traps. So we started engaging youth in 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 camera trapping methods, deployment, so they can track the leopard movements, and also create a WhatsApp group in which they can share how the leopard is moving across villages and what needs to be done, where not to go, how to create an early warning or early alert system through youth is something that we started building in these villages. I shared about how we started claim support groups. So if there is resistance by the forest department, that somebody is trying to reach and complain about the attack that happened, and the forest department officials are not responding to it, we became the bridge to facilitate that dialogue. Because when an outsider comes in the landscape, or as an NGO, the forest department becomes answerable and accountable, because they can no longer do what they were doing for the many years. So that started to work a little bit. So I will not say that situation improved, but it started to move towards a more collaborative uh, uh, solution. Then we wanted to, so outreach is as important as research or solutions that we're trying to test. We wanted to get people on board, that somebody's working, somebody's trying to understand these ecologies, and it is only for development of the ecosystems on which their lives depend. And it's just not the pastoralist, it's also the larger ecosystem services that will help the whole village. And to to be using these jargons and uh, and letting people understand is one thing, but then we wanted to bring more storytelling perspective, more stories, more visual understanding, And so we started doing things more creatively. Like this is a photo from village film screening. So we managed to do a film screening of 4 films created by the Grassland Trust, and they worked on hyenas, leopards, wolves, and similar Deccan grasslands, uh, which has many resemblance to where we work. So people were very quick to relate to the grasslands, to the animals, to the behaviors, and also this there was a curiosity that started to grow about what are these people doing and why are they doing it, and is there something that they can receive which benefit both this work and them. So so this was something that was very interesting, and on these lines, we have started creating other things. Like a documentary film was made. We did a Grassland Premier League. So kids and community aside, the youth is the college going youth is the hardest stakeholder to tap onto, we feel, because you cannot just create a school activity with them, or do a nature trail and they will just understand. So we went to do a Grassland Premier League, which is a cricket tournament. It is an IPL format thing, but throughout the day it was all about wildlife and grasslands. The commentary was around it. The teams were named around it, and then people also started taking the names of the animals too seriously when there were banters that went on in the field while they were playing. So this is one outreach event that we are very proud of, and because of this, the Himachal Pradesh Forest Department got to know about this, and they invited us to do a Himalayan Premier League and on this concept. So we created a concept there as well, and they funded this whole tournament, and a great Himalayan Premier League was also organized in collaboration with them. So this is one thing that we feel replicating everywhere, uh, and with interest in terms of outreach. And lastly, Somnath sir was there. He's also in the meeting here. I saw. So this is one thing that we did when he was there together. It is a nature photography competition that we did with 15 participants from the village, and they were asked to take photographs of a bird, an insect, an animal, a plant, and create categories, and also write something that whatever comes to their mind when they want to caption the photograph. And this was then exhibited on the roof of the panchayat house in their village. And this was so it all seems like small events, but these gatherings and continuous engagement has now started to make impact in small ways. Like the village head who used to take little to no interest in whatever these girls are doing, coming to the villages asking for plant animals. Now he came and uh, felicitated the winners of these competition, and then he did say that you guys are doing some wonderful work and keep on doing these things that you are doing and help us in managing the grasslands, because he also comes from a pastoralist family. So these are some things that we have managed to do in the past year and this year combined. And yeah, that's something, that's what we have been able to do. There is a long list of things. I like to call it a wish list that we would love to do in these. So we in our plans we have a landscape. We have uh, a cluster of 17 villages, and as we are a small team and new organization, we have only been able to activate our work in 2 villages. We would love to expand this work to more engagement more community stewardship work, science ownership, data ownership, and then co-create solutions to 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 further the idea of coexistence, peaceful coexistence in a more realistic terms. So this is it. Yeah, I think I finished 15 minutes early, but it's okay. We have more time to talk now.
Thank you,
Yes.
Manya. Yeah, thank you, Manya, for such a, taking us through all the journey. It was so inspiring and of course it was so knowledgeable. The whole concepts you have taken us just to summarize today's webinar takeaways, for me at least. It was, you really offered such a valuable insight into the complex realities of really human wildlife conflict, which is, and you also taken us through all the journey of flora and fauna. And of course, you talk about the green energy concept, which is really budding in the Western countries. They are trying to bring it to the India, but generally bring on the picture that how the local people will be affected. That's something which is, you pointed out so really well into this webinar. You also, definitely share all your outreach activities. And of course, the Grassland Premier League was the highlight, apart from the monsoon competition, photography competition, the work you are doing in youth capacity building, village films training, camera trapping training, very important as to build the ownership into the area for all the local people. It was really enriching and empowering for all of us. And of course, your work for the farmers and pastoralists, claiming the compensation, the way you are engaging is something we all can, take clues and get inspired by that. So I thank you all. Thank you for all your taking us to the journey. It was enriching. It was inspiring. And now I open the platform for any Q&A to Manya. This was a summary. So now it is open for Q&A.
Yes.
And we have a question. We have a question, I guess. Um, there's somebody submitted a
There
text.
is there is one question in the chat I can see.
Yeah, there's a Anil Kumar is telling light and sound determined get accustomed soon. We tested in Vidarbha, Maharashtra. So the floor is to all the participants who are keen to ask the question and answers, and the floor is to Valna to answer everything.
Yes. So do you want me to take this one? This is more of a comment, but then I can resonate with this. Actually, Anil is right. There, so it also depends on individual to individual. We tried 4 lights in one village and 4 in another. So we have also seen that in one of the areas, the leopard, it has come in the camera trap that the leopard has gone beneath the light and took a goat away. So it did not work on that leopard. But in the other village, there has been no instances where a frequent uh, attacks were happening in one house only, and we deployed the anider there. So it is so it's not a sure shot solution. And what we tried, we did not go with the aniders. We used Katidhan Parabrush lights. So they have a design change in which it glow. It is it is made in a way that it looks like a carnivore, a predator's eyes, and it has different patterns. So we are trying to understand the degree of efficiency of these lights, but it is cannot be the only solution. A combination of solution uh, is needed to create a foolproof plan to deter these attacks.
Yeah, it was a very good presentation. I would like to know, can you share something your work on Banni? Because this is, I think, from Madhya Pradesh. So if you can share some, because we are from Gujarat, so I would like to know. And we also have some projects on Banni, so you can
So
highlight.
So with Bunny, I left Sarjeevan last year in June, and then I started this organization. So my work in Bunny stopped last year, but I can give some examples from what we did there. So Bunny Grasslands, like 52 villages, and then we have in 2010 they all asked for forest rights, and up to the DLC level, the community forest rights were approved. So there is like the community is divided somewhere five panchayats and other 18 panchayats. These are divided in a way that some wants IFRs, individual forest rights or revenue lands. Some and most of the communities, the pastoral communities, is looking forward for community forest rights. So whichever villages were willing to work for the community forest rights, we started creating community forest rights management committees in these villages and an action plan in these villages. So the action plan span towards ecosystem restoration because there the invasive species is Prosopis juliflora, and the second then watershed work and lake seasonal wetland development, and then there are more species specific efforts for spiny tailed lizards, Hubara bustard, and Indian gazelle. Unfortunately, the distribution of Indian grey wolves have declined drastically in these grasslands, owing to the uh, conflict with the uh, pastoralist. So in my time, I worked mostly on grassland restoration, where we were removing the Prosopis juliflora, and we tested carbon credits program in these grasslands. So what we did, we did not only remove, uproot the Prosopis juliflora, we made biochar out of it, and the biochar were then put into the soil. So this is a methodology within the carbon credits program for biochar, that it is acceptable if the biochar produced is put to the ground and the life cycle ends there, and then the carbon is restored for thousands of years in the grass in the soil. So we partnered with a carbon venture company in Gurgaon, and with them we were able to sell carbon credits to Carbon Standard International, which is a verification agency, and we raised 120 US dollars per ton of carbon. So that was a very successful program that we piloted, and it is still going on. But what was unfortunate, and I think it is the case with any capitalistic venture, is the distribution of profits itself. So it was solving the purpose of restoration and bringing carbon economy into the picture, but the larger chunk of the profit was going to the carbon company, and only saying that community is benefiting from the restoration of grasslands. What more do they want? Is not right. So carbon market itself is a very tricky or a very uh, complex system in which there is a lot of gatekeeping, there is a lot of uh, mm, hegemony of knowledge is being exerted right now, and the people who are closest to the land, managing the land, caring for the land, restoring the land, their land, they have rights on these lands, though they are unable to reap the profits properly. So yeah, that was one concern, but this was pretty much it that I tried to do during my time in Bunny Grasslands.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manya. We have a question. Devansh Karvi is asking or telling, you mentioned work on Asian hoboya. Could you please explain the biggest challenge faced by the species in bunny and suggested possible solution?
Uh, for this, for us, it was mainly when we were citing it, the numbers in the baseline monitoring, the numbers itself went very low. We were trying to understand the issues around it, but one major thing that could have led it, because we used to spot a lot of these birds near Charidund Wetland Reserve, and with within that belt, there was a lot of land use transformation that happened in the bunny grasslands. And then agriculture was also very prominent before the whole NGT order came in for removing um, the grassland, farmlands from bunny grasslands. So uh, there is no direct research study that we did to understand what's lowering the number, but the baseline suggested that the numbers have gone down, and that's about it, I think. Vinay Kumar, Vinay Kumar's hand is raised.
Yes, Vinayji, you can directly unmute yourself and ask, or you can put your question into the chat box.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, thank you, Manya. It was very beautiful to have this presentation, and your journey was very inspiring
Audible
for me.
clearly.
Uh, is it clear now?
Yes.
Yeah. I am a PhD student at ETRI, Bangalore. I'm also from pastoralist community from Himachal Pradesh. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So since you have worked in various different landscape, I want to know specifically about human when we study human wildlife interaction. So if we look at the tolerance of people toward the wildlife, uh, based on your experience, what you have found is it same throughout the landscape like in Gujarat or other landscape you have worked or Himachal? And one more thing I want to know if these issues have a gendered aspects, like women's face more or men's, and if you see any trend, can you tell a little bit about this? Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank you for your question, Vinay. And it's very important. It's a very important question because whenever we talk about pastoralists, we tend to forget women from the picture because the larger roles of tending to animals, the housework, the milking, much of the labor that is there is divided. It's not solely to one gender. So
Yes.
thank you for this question. And but it depends on the what modernity has done to these mobile systems. So I don't know which community from
Uh,
pastoralist.
I'm from Gaddi community.
So in this webinar, I shared more about our work in Gujarat,
Yes.
but we also work in Himachal Pradesh in Lahore,
Okay.
and there we have taken our conflict program there, but there it is with snow leopards and Himalayan brown bear, which
Okay.
comes to the apple orchards. So very interesting that the Himalayan brown bear follows the gaddi when they go to the alpine pastures,
Hmm.
and and the Himalayan brown bear returns with them when they are going back to Kulu. And when they are gone, they go to the orchards for apples and other other vegetables that they're growing. So these species have learned to to co-evolve with pastoralists, and there is, in our experiences, we have never seen extreme reaction from pastoralist elders ever. They would definitely be a little irritated, and they would say that please bring a cage and take away this leopard or take away this animal. But they there has been little to no reaction, extreme reaction in terms of retaliation,
Mm.
uh, as of now. But what we are also seeing that we are looking at population explosion of some of these animals like leopards. They are thriving, they are growing, uh, they are adapting, they are also in the cities, also in the urban areas, also coming to the houses directly. So there is only so much that one can endure, and we don't. So our work is trying to work towards that the endurance, they don't have to endure. The losses are compensated in some ways or the other. So the negative interaction, the resentment doesn't linger for long, or it doesn't turn into some violent retaliation. So that's how we are trying to look at it. And coming to your question about women, yes, women do experience this differently. So it's not directly about the 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 attack on the animals, but in Gujarat, I don't know if you know, but in Gaddi, with Gaddis in Lahore, I have not seen one woman herding the sheep. So people are preferring to stay back. Families are preferring to stay back, and one or two herder or a male herder will go with the herd.
Yes.
In Gujarat, it is very different. In Gujarat, women, men divide roles. Some families go together. It's not only always the men.
Mm.
Sometimes when they are around the villages where they live, then maybe one family member is going and taking the animals and coming back. So the type of mobility, the type of migration that Gujarat families do is different than what Gaddis are doing. And here they go to the forest, they go to the grassland for firewood, they go for grasses, they go for vegetables after the monsoon, and they have interacted with these animals. But they also know how to deal with these animals, because these animals don't always come directly at you. So there is a woman that we know in Gujarat. She went for firewood late in the evening, and she she stumbled upon a hyena. Hyena stopped, looked at her, and it just went away. So whenever we talk to these women and community, that what do you do when some confrontation happens? And they're like, they'd never come to you. The animal will go away. So this fear is only for people who have not interacted or who have not grown with the situation. They have they have co-evolved, so they know how to deal with the situation. For urban dwellers like you and me, I don't know about you, but for me, the fear is different than what it generally is to a pastoralist. So yeah,
Yeah, I can relate it now. Thank you for the great explanation.
thank
You have
thank
given.
you, Vinay. Thank you for
Thank
your question. It was a lovely question.
Yeah, so Manu, I wanted to ask, like you talked about that the carbon credits were there and actually the people were not getting the benefit. So did you stop or did you try that practice in the grassland or did you stop it? Or if you have stopped it, are you looking for some other alternative? Because ultimately,
Mm.
this is something, we look at a global level or on a commercial level, I put it that way.
Mm. So I'll try to be very candid here in terms of sharing the information. See, for the development sector, for the NGOs, I think it has become very difficult to negotiate with the market. NGOs tend to always grabbing for funds raising, trying to just manage the staff, paying the salaries. And when something like that comes in, like a carbon credit market, when a company comes to you and say, hey, we want to restore your grasslands and we want to support like my 10% of it for your salaries, and which is also 10% of carbon credit market is not less. It's good money. So, so it is more of an ethical standpoint that you want to look at it, would you take the money, sustain your organization, restore the grasslands, take what is benefiting and just do it, go along with it? Or you take a moral standpoint and say, no, we'll not work if not 50% of the money is coming to the community. So that kind of bargaining power is, I think, I'm unfortunately is right now is not there with NGOs right now. And what we did try that we started to learn the trick of the trade, and maybe parallelly started to grow our inside capacity to become that entrepreneurial in terms of carbon credit. But that has also that has also taken some time, and time is everything in corporate, in market, carbon market. So early bidders, early takers have taken over to the market primarily, and then I don't know, it's quite unsustainable for the NGOs. I have not seen one single NGO becoming the sole runner of the carbon credit program. Like they are the project proponents, they are also the community workers, they are also the sellers, they have the context to sell the carbon credits. So there's a lot of middle agencies, and it's very difficult for the NGO to breathe in that kind of ecosystem. And especially when you are here to do some meaningful, vision oriented, deep work. So when we started Conservation Indica, we had an opportunity to create biochar from the pine needles of Himachal Pradesh. Kyun- Because pine needles, the forest fire is one of the most pertinent issue in the Himalayas, and forest fire's main problem, the fuel for the forest fire is pine needles. And pine needles are also not like native, not indigenous. They cover the forest floor. Community light the fire to the pine needles. So the next flush of grasses are nice after the rains. So it becomes unmanageable, and large forests just go burned in in Zifi. So so we tried that. I think we were discussing that carbon credit would be a game changer in this. It's been 2 years since now we're still discussing. We still don't have the capacity. We still don't know how to do it when you don't have that kind of investment with you. So yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Manya, for sharing. And Vidhi is saying something. She's telling it appears that the rapid changes in LULC are the biggest threat to the ecosystem outside protected areas, especially ones. How do you think this can be addressed without declaring those areas as forests or protected areas? Do you think the local community and pastoralists are willing to declare them as PAs?
Actually, they are not, and thank you for the question. But in my opinion, in my personal opinion, I cannot say for everybody, but declaring them PAs would be would not be the solution, because with PAs, uh, the idea of ownership is very conflicted, and then people think that the forest has been taken from them and is given to the forest department, and forest department, as it was built, it still works on a very colonial framework. So coming from that, PAs are not the solution, but we have been trying to discuss what could community conserved areas, CCAs could be one potential framework. Maybe community reserves, CR, where most of the power lies with the community, but they are still the land is still protected, the wildlife is still protected, could be one framework. WLPA does give you an idea of conservation reserve and community reserve, but then again, then there will be some power dynamics there. So there are like three or four ideas. And to think of it, it is currently under some sort of management. It's even within it is revenue land. It is managed by the Darbar community, leased by the pastoral communities and also gram panchayat, village panchayat. So, so there is some sort of management in place. We can also think of how to strengthen the current existing management techniques so to disturb it as less as we can and then uh, ensure sustainability of it in some ways or the another. There's another question
Yeah. So
from
Ashwini,
Ashwin.
yeah, Ashwini is saying, I work in Maharashtra and there are leopards in that area where I work. Sometimes when a leopard attack people livestock, the local villagers get angry and set the fire to the forest. So I want to know whether you have experienced such incident in your study area and how do you convince the community for the conservation in your study area?
Uh, Thank you, Ashwini. It's a good question. And like I tried to address it in Vinay's question, that we fortunately, we have not had that extreme retaliation as of now. And although there is growing resentment, we are trying to address it with some creative solutions. Like I'm talking about compensations in bringing compensations in a way that their loss is doesn't feel too much, and they can still bargain coexisting with the leopards. For us, convincing was not needed because when we started the work, we tapped onto the issue what they set in the agenda that this is an issue and we need to work towards it. Now, when we're trying to work together to find a solution towards it, they are not resorting directly to extreme violence towards any of these issues. But we will have to come up with some some intervention soon because then the worst thing would be that the community losing faith on us in doing something to address the issue. So we are trying. So there is one example that I can take that I can give, which we are trying to deploy, but we are trying to raise funds for it. This is first applied by an NGO is called HEAL, HEAL in Kolkata. They work in Purulia district, and we had a small conversation with them to understand how they did this one very innovative thing. It's called Goat Bank. It is a goat bank run by community where they just put 10 goats as seed in the community bank, and those and then they have like a whole governance and bylaws and structure to maintain that fund while also helping the people who are losing the animal by the leopard attack. So this is an immediate response, and this doesn't require a government uh, bureaucracy to to come in and help them or save them. So this is a very, very inspiring idea that we have learned from Heal, and we are trying to raise funds to do this in our villages. And I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do it by the end of no, by the start of the year, next year, 2026.
I'm sure you will be able to do, Manya. I wanted to know, like, what and how you have changed the ideology of the pastoralist community from victimhood to go for a compensation, because that really require a mindset shift. So, how that has changed, or like, are they able to compensate now more often, or they are still happy to be in that victimhood?
So I would not say that it has changed because it's been not long enough and it's been not changed entirely. But the idea of finding the solution so that they can allow the leopard to live freely in the ecosystem is very much there. Uh, so when we are talking about the resentment or the negative interaction, it's mostly about 18 goats were killed last year, and losing 18 goats mean approximately 2 lakh rupees for me. So if it's just the monetary loss that they're feeling, and there has been no attack on humans, no confrontation on humans. So, and these are the animals that have, so now the mobility is restricted. Earlier, they used to do year-long migration. They used to live with the lions, the wolves, every wild animal. So it's not the fear for their lives, it's only the resentment towards the money that they're losing. And if you can substitute that, the mindset, they come around, the community comes around. So that's how we are trying to do it. We have discussed these ideas, this idea of livestock bank with the community. They are on board, they are supporting the idea, but then we also are very upfront about the limitation being a small and new organization. No CSR license, no FCRA right now. So yeah, we are trying to be more transparent about our agenda and our limitations, and people are together in this. So yeah.
All right. And with respect to the training which you are giving to the youth, especially the camera trapping and all those things and the documentation, so are like how people can approach you, or how the people in the who are interested, or anybody who is keen on learning this thing, how they can approach you, and what is the way like you reach out to the people that okay, as an organization we provide so and so training, and how it empowers them not only to sustain the ecosystem but for their future also. So
Hmm.
are you looking towards turning it into something more profitable for them so that they can take it in a future or some tourism, like that's this is my general query. So yeah.
No, this is very important. This question is also very important because managing and governing the ecosystem is ideal because it also l- teaches them leadership. They also are talking more about their ecosystem, um, and we want to do it separately with youth, but it doesn't mean that the youth doesn't come in the larger meetings. So sometimes what happens in larger meetings, women won't say anything, youth won't say anything. The men and the older people will decide everything for them. But in some capacities, when they start working with an NGO and start getting that kind of training, they also uh, feel some power to bring in their suggestions. So the first idea is that they become the leadership that we have. It is percolated, it's translated, and uh, even without authority, they are able to lead. uh, the goal is this. The second, obviously, skill building, because when we are doing this, it is building this. So the four people that we identified initially are now able to use Excel data entry. They can write emails. They can use Google Sheets. So these trainings, we don't do much for this, like, oh, we are having a training, come all, come one. We are talking to people, we are talking to youth. Sometimes we identify that okay, four or five people are interested. We have a small office in Chotila, and then we also uses Govind Bhai, who is a community person who is also a part of the team. We uses his house. We just sit anywhere with our laptops and we start doing it. Now we have procured a laptop that is always in the village, and it's available to use by any of the community member or youth to learn. And Govind Bhai can now become, he's a trainer himself. We trained him, now he is training other people. He trained Raghu and Mohit. So that's how it's translating into the larger community. But then there is also some sort of mindset change that is required, like Green Hub Central India. Two fellows from Green Hub Central India came in to make a documentary on our work. They did it, and then they talked about their. So we asked them to have a workshop with the youth of the community and inspire them if they want to learn the techniques of video editing skills, filmmaking. And Green Hub Central India is doing such amazing work in Bhopal, but not a single youth was inspired enough to apply for it. So because with 16 to 30, this age group, they want to work, they want to earn money, they have aspirations. It's very different, and you cannot just engage them just for the sake of engaging and outreach. You have to like give them something very uh, specific. So we are trying to see how we can do more with that age group in a different or creative way. Let's see. Yeah, but your question is very important, and we need to think of a way that it translates into something uh, ben benefits, profitable, or say income oriented rather just skill.
Yeah, this because this is a thought, because if you will attach some profit to them, so there is high possibility they will stay into the area, they will not migrate, because migration I'm sure will be again a
Yes.
quite a challenge. So like the knowledge, the training, the things you are training the people, they will stay into the field, and I'm sure it will lead to the longer sustainability. So I was just thinking on that lines. So thank you so much for answering. It was really inspiring in the way you are working. So, any more questions
Uh,
from anybody to
there
Manya?
is one. There's one. I don't know if it's a question.
Uh, I guess Rashmi is telling that I'm doing a PhD in limnology and planktonic field life, but this season helped me. I guess she went to a session. This session helped me to gain so many new things and knowledgeable. All thanks to Manya for sharing her knowledge and inspiring us. And Mahayar is again saying thank you. Wonderful webinar. Dinesh is asking, is pastoral is the only revenue of the community? What are the other livelihood options of the community in your study area?
So in our study area, pastoralism for pastoralist is the only revenue system. But then agriculture intensification is something I think everybody in Gujarat is aware of how encroachment and agriculture intensification works. So now pastoralism is not look only pastoralism; it has become some sort of agro-pastoralism. So agriculture is definitely the other secondary revenue of the community. Chotila is also known to be a very prominent religious site. And because of the industries that I talked about, ceramic industry, coal mining, these are all industrial opportunities for youth to leave pastoralism and go work in a mine, go work in ceramic industry. And transportation is very big in our area. So becoming a truck driving person or things like that. So yeah, because of temple tourism, a lot of small vendors, hawkers, resorts, hotels, mm, um, and small sellers within the periphery of the temple. The temple is of Chamunda Mata temple, and it's very famous. So yeah, these are the other income options, I would say, for the community.
Thank you, Manya. I'm sure Dinesh, you got your answer. And Maya is saying, I always attend webinar of Gujarati Culture Society and helped me a lot in my work as District Animal Welfare Officer in Surat, Gujarat. Thank you so much, sir, for being there and always, attending the sessions and sharing your positive feedback with us. It is making a change. It's really happy for us. We are also happy to know about it. Akriti is saying, thank you, ma'am, for the informative session. I'm Akriti, the marker with the Scholar Department of Forestry, Wildlife and Environmental Science, GCB, Chhattisgarh. Dinesh, thank you. All right. Madam, before we leave, I also wanted to know, of all these challenges you were talking about, it's not so easy. And again, gender plays a role into it. So, what made you stay resilient and grounded in your vision and approach?
Yeah, nah, that is a tough one. But I think for me, uh, it is the thing that we call about the fire in the belly. And for me, my journey was about natural sciences to social sciences to research to community. And when I started working with the community, then it was not only about me. It became a larger agenda for me. And then seeing historical injustices and how violent the the capitalistic society is towards the people who wants to care for the land. This is something that keeps me going. I think that's the vision that keeps us away from other lucrative options of the world. There was always people feel conflicted all the time. People feel that we all have that feeling, but then I keep reconnecting to the land, to the people, and I am not never away from the field. I'm always in the field. Mostly, even I'm writing on the field, but I am always in the field. So it keeps me grounded and it keeps me motivated in the vision because we have not achieved it, and not achieving it and not like leaving it before we achieve the goal would feel like quitting, and I am not a quitter.
All right, thank you. So, do we have any other questions? Visruti is telling, thank you so much for the fantastic and informative webinar, incredible, inspiring environmental science student who wants to do what you do. Uh, Visruti is highly
All my
inspired
love,
by
all
you.
my love, all my love and strength to you.
So, if we don't have any other Q&A, we would like to wrap up the session. And Dr. Somnath, are you there? We would really love to take call you on the floor and take away. Can you share your takeaways? We'll be happy to hear from you also.
Thank you, Sonia. This is wonderful. What can I say? GES is providing a wonderful platform. People like Manya is sharing their wonderful experience. And there's a wonderful audience, 40 plus audience who are getting inspired and who are learning. So, what can be better? I think there is a buzz going around, and this buzz should grow. So, it's a wonderful thing all of you are doing. And it's lovely to see the way youngsters, youth is coming forward and getting into the field, tackling difficult questions, difficult issues. And I fully agree with Manya. I don't quit. I mean, there is so much to do, and I love this spirit. So it's not about winning or losing or anything. You don't win, you don't lose. You just keep going, and something or the other will continue to happen. So, all my best wishes to all of you. Fantastic job.
Thank you, sir. I'll meet you in Baroda soon.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Dr. Jendra, your concluding remarks, would you like to share? Dr. Jendra, our director, sir.
As Dr. Somnath said, nobody wins and nobody loses. Just keep on working, keep on doing our duties. So all best of luck to Manya for her future journey. Hope will sometime will come as organization together to work on some aspects of this, maybe grassland. We are also started working, some of the projects are dealing with grassland. So hope we'll be able to work. Thank you. It was a nice presentation
Thank
and
you
very
so
good
much, sir.
interaction with other communities. There was a very good involvement. That is a very good thing. I always see in this webinar. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you
And
so
thank you
much,
so
sir.
much,
Thank
sir.
you.
Yeah, and thank you to all our participants who always come. It's not, you can do anything at this time, but you choose to come and invest in yourself and in your knowledge to grow your knowledge because this is the time weekend, as one has already, it is already weekend. The timings are also different. You could have done anything, but you choose your growth and your knowledge as a priority. So we really appreciate. I request all of you who are still there to please switch on the camera for our group photograph if you're okay with it. And we would like to see your happy, smiling faces. So I request everyone, please switch on the cameras for our group photographs. All right, thank you. I'll quickly take the screenshots. Thank you, everyone. With that, we conclude the webinar. And thank you so much for joining. And once again, thank you, Manya, for sharing your knowledge, energy with us, and deeply inspiring. One last, message you would like to give to all the people, because there are many postgraduate students who have registered for, today's webinar. Any takeaway message or inspiring message you would love to tell them as a younger version of Manya, like.
Yeah, that would be that identify your core and then be flexible about everything. But when you know that this is your core, don't let anybody, because we are in the age of internet, and on LinkedIn, on everywhere, you'll see everything. So everybody is privileged to be doing something or the other thing, and it will make you confused. You will have like a lot of option. You'll always think that you're losing out on something or the other, but no. You identify your core, you stick to it. You keep reinventing yourself, not saying that don't change, but don't second guess what your gut is telling you. This is my take for every youngsters out there. Don't
Yeah,
second guess your gut.
we call it as shiny object syndrome. Like we call it like anything shiny, we just run with. We call it as shiny object syndrome. Don't run, don't go and get yourself affected with that shiny object syndrome. Stay grounded and in your vision. So thank you all. Thank you everyone who joined us today. With that, we officially close the webinar. Recordings will be available. Once it is there with us, we will upload it on our YouTube channel. You can contact Manya ji on the email address. So if you would like, Manaji, you can please share your email address or put it in the chat box. And we will see all of you again in our next month webinar.
I'll just quickly conversationindica.in. Yeah, this is my email ID, and conservationindica.in is also the website. Conservation Indica is also the Instagram. For any updates, for getting in touch with our work, you can just connect.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you, Manya. And with that, I would request everyone, please leave the room as the webinar is over. Rahul Yadavji, thank you so much for sharing your email. Just let us know what do you want us to do with that. Otherwise, you can directly contact Manya.
Thank you. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mayaji, for your constant support. We really appreciate the positive feedbacks. It really inspires us also. I'll just stop the recording.